Hello guys, welcome to another episode of Ripster Daily Trade Recaps and Teachings. Today is January 9th, 2024. Another solid day today, another solid day. There's a lot to learn today guys. I'm going to discuss the market personality that we saw today, so watch out for that. Anyways, as usual, anybody who's new here, guys, this is Ripster. This is my daily trade timestamped ideas, recaps, what I share in the community, what I share on Twitter, or what our community trades on the trading floor. That's that I discuss on this video. And before I start, let me talk about the routine, what we do in the community. So every day I'm up 1 hour before the market open. I go through all the news sources. I create a watch list of the plays that we are going to play today in the stock market for our day trades or swing trades, whatever we're going to do. Then I also create a levels, pivots, levels for everyone that we will discuss in a bit, and then I will show you that you must screenshot those pivot levels and see how they worked out. You see, I go through all the news sources. I go through the wake up summary. This is the wake up summary, and we go through bunch of pre-market movers. Then I look at upgrades and downgrades, and then what I do is I finally make my watch list. You see the watch list here. We're going to discuss few of them, and then we make a plan what to do with those plays pre-market. So here you can see my news plays. Maybe I can just expand it in a bit, and then you will see. And then I create my levels every day and I share with the community, guys. Today notable is NVDA pivot level, AMD pivot level, and then there was a pivot level on Google and SMCI. So we are going to discuss all those pivot levels and see how they worked out. And this is what I spend time, half an hour before the market open. I share with my community how to long or short based upon those levels. And today again, those pivot levels worked flawlessly. And then these are my news sources, and this is the view of the news plays that we have, negative news or positive news, and we create a support and resistance pivots on that. You can see CrowdStrike was there. There was upgrade by Morgan Stanley, so we know that upgrade by Morgan Stanley is a big deal. So CrowdStrike was on the watch list there as well. Then we had PayPal, Netflix, Boeing, and Mitch, and few others. So all that we share in the pre-market, and we have a plan. We make a plan in the pre-market and get ready for our trades. And now I will show you what trades I took or what trades I gave to my community, what others in the community were trading, and how we were able to have another solid day. One thing to note, guys, is every day how are we able to have so many plays, and how are so many plays are working, and why so many few of the losers. The reason behind that is, guys, the process. We follow a fixed process. We have a fixed system. My community uses my Ripster EMA Cloud system. Most of them use it, of course. Everybody is free to use what they want to use, but from my perspective, what I share is a fixed system that guides us. We do not make any gut feeling trades. We repeat the same thing again and again and again. What we did today, we'll do it tomorrow. Today is a different ticker, tomorrow is a different ticker. That's what we do. That's why you see every day me providing, and I show you my time-stamped comments, like how we are able to find all these winners every day. That's what we do, guys. There is no magic. It's all about execution. That's what I try to teach here as well, execution. All right, guys, enough of the introduction. Let's start with first play of today. To start the day, I'm going to talk about SPY and QQQ. Yesterday, I talked about like how to identify chop and how to identify the trend. So every day, market has a personality. It's up to you to identify that personality before the market open. Today's personality before the market opened was a gap down. Right, it was a bearish personality, and what can happen in the gap down? Two things can happen in the gap down. Either it holds a gap down pre-market level and then becomes bullish, or it breaks under the pre-market lows and becomes bearish. So that was the personality, and it could also chop. How can it chop? If after 10 a.m. it does not take any direction, then it can chop. And there's a bunch of other things that I tweeted yesterday. You can refer to my tweet about that. But let's see. So all right, so initially when SPY opened, it was up down chop. It tried to break down, and it tried to give us a signal that it's breaking down, but then it swiped back up. And then it turned right at 10 a.m. Notice it, 10 a.m. it turned 512 EMA Clouds turned bullish. If you have seen my past videos on YouTube, I often talk about these setups. So I have covered this topic many times. 10 a.m. concept. I have, teach these concepts for many times about how this 10 a.m. concept works, right? So I have taught it many times. So anyways, so you see the trend move at 10 a.m. and what's happening now? It's not breaking down, down, up. It's flagging. It was not breaking down. It was flagging, right? And that's what I even mentioned on our SPX floor, that it was flagging, so let's see, I can show you that. So it was flagging and for next leg up. And then what did it do? It pushed over 3450 EMA Clouds. And QQQQ was already bullish, and all it had to do was break over 403 and then further push. And then you see the flags, right? There's a flag on QQQ. Right? And I gave these trades, when it turned bullish, I gave the trade at 3450. I gave the long here that it will push into the gap fill, and it hit the targets, right? So let's see here. So SPY holding pre-market lows. So we analyze first. Then there's a B minus bounce, and I tell everyone to keep their stops tight for this B minus scalp. And it pushes, the B minus turns into a B. So there was a good scalp into 10 a.m. So then I talk about how it's trying to hold that 3450 curl. It gets over 512 curl, you can see, and then it continues to push. We talk about 11 a.m. I talk about how it's filling the gap. I'm on voice as well talking about this. And then I said the next level is yesterday highs. So this move alone, guys, SPX calls went 200-300%, right? And then of course that was the main move, and then when it was breaking this area, I talked about how it's going to pull back here. So that was the SPY trade, guys. It was my all day guidance. We were not bearish. Once this happened, nobody was trying to short it. I did tell anybody that do not, right? I have to remind everyone because people want to short. I said do not short the market. So it was a different personality than yesterday. Yesterday was the crazy move up over the pivots. Today, let's look at the pivots, right? So what was a QQQ pivot? 403.60, SPY pivot 473, right? So those pivots turned bullish. So, and QQQ pivot also turned bullish. So it was only a long, and we nailed the long. You see that guidance right here. I already showed you. And then then I said bullish over the clouds and almost the gap fill. So the trade was long here or long here and trade the gap fill. You can't have tiny stops. Somebody asked me today, hey Rip, I didn't know what to do, I stopped out. No, you cannot stop out, because look at the 10-minute candle. It's still bullish. It's flagging. It's not bearish. QQQ is flagging. And based upon SPY QQQ, that's how we nailed our other trades, which we're going to talk about: NVDA, AMD, and all the marketplace, Google's, Amazon's, because if the market is strong, they are strong because they are the market, right? So you see that right now. I just showed you two examples of the personality of SPY and QQQ, how you could have made money staying with the system, with the trend. We are not just shorting it because we want to. We are long because our system tells us. So, remember this 10 a.m. concept. I will put on my website something more about it so that you guys can see those examples. All right, let's go to the next one. So now you have seen my process of SPY QQQ whole day. Now let's look at the individual trades. I saw Vinod saw relative strength. I saw relative strength, and we saw the relative strength on Google at the open over the pivots. Why was my signal? it was going over the pivots. Let's go back and see what were my pivots, right? Resistance pivots 138.40, 139, 139, 138.40. Both pivots broken. This pivot broken. I said long on the pullbacks. The reason I say long on the pullbacks because I do not want people to swipe. Do not want people to swipe. But you can always take a starter. You know your risk. It's up to you how much you want to size. You know your risk is this EMA Clouds, this level, wherever you long. That will come with practice. You add starter. When it gets over another pivot, you add more into your position and then you hold. If it makes a high after 10 a.m., you hold and you trade it long rest of the day. So look at it. I said long, I continue to talk about the relative strength. I said more highs and I gave you target of 140, 120. It went more over 140, 120, went 140, 149. If you are just scalping, okay, that's fine. If you're a morning trade, you go to Google Long and you are out at 10 a.m., that's fine. But if you want a trend trade and you want to grow your account, you hold. You hold till the 512 EMA hold. You do not cut. Either it's your shares or your options, whatever you do. If you were in a shares, this trade alone, let's say you added 138.70, right? You risk 70 cents, but you made almost $2.50. So you risked one and you made 3 times of your risk. If you risk 70 cents and you made $2.10, so that's 3 times your risk. So that's how you do it, guys. So Google was beautiful trade in the community today. All day guidance on Google. Love it, love it, love it. Beautiful setup. Right, so you see that. No? So let's go. Next one. So I'm going to talk about CrowdStrike now, right? So CrowdStrike, I gave everybody in the pre-market, and those who attend my webinars, they know I talk about this, the tiers of the analyst, which analyst is good, which is bad. We look at that. So CrowdStrike had an upgrade from Morgan Stanley. Morgan Stanley is a tier 1 upgrade. Whenever they upgrade, market takes a notice. So Morgan Stanley upgraded it. CrowdStrike was bullish. Resistance pivot was 267.41. If it broke the spot pivot, we do not long. If it holds a pivot, we long, and we wait for the resistance pivot to break out. So what did it do? So let's see what did it do. What did CrowdStrike do? So CrowdStrike right away broke out of the pivot I gave. That's what I said, long. Long over pivot. Check the sheet, news play sheet. All day I was said still good long 275 target. We met the 275 target. And then I said you can roll into some other calls if you want, and because once it broke 275, I was expecting higher push to 280, but then what it did was it pushed a little bit, then it break 512, so that was time to get out of your position. So I closed everything under 512 as you see here. But again, right in front of you, pre-market note, my comments, my commentary, my guidance, big win. On the options and on the shares. There was no reason anybody should have lost money on CrowdStrike today. A+ setup, A+ setup. Tier 1 upgrade, bullish daily chart. Can't get better than this. Daily chart is very important. You see there's a breakout here on the daily chart as well. There is this nice breakout on daily chart, guys. CrowdStrike, beautiful, beautiful. All right, let's go to Boeing today. It was a loser yesterday. We try to short it every day, but it never confirms it. So I was bearish. I knew if it breaks 225, this yesterday's low level, or this 225.50 level, 225 level, it will be a short. So that's what I said right at open, that we shorted. On that. Let's go to our. We can go to a 5-minute candle. Okay, let's look at it. Right. So I said short in the first 5 minutes. First 4 minutes, I said we short it under 225. So what do? We short it, and then it goes down. It's going down. It hit 224s, right? Then it hit 223.40s. The options were high juice. They were not really moving much. I should have traded the shares, but then they swiped it back. They held it again. I want to see lower highs, lower lows. I don't want to see coming back, right? And then I said short is working. 225 puts were okay. So you see my guidance. I covered, of course I covered, I covered some, if I have a full position, I always cover 1/3 or 1/4 to log something in. And then by 10 a.m., right, it had to show me a trend by 10 a.m. And then at 10 a.m., guys, it starts to push right here. And that's when I get out, break even. So I tell everybody I'm getting out. So unless you shorted right here, then you lost. But if you shorted with a good entry, because our risk was 225, closer entry was closer to 225. It didn't work, it didn't work. I didn't have time to wait for it. And I didn't even trade it B minus bounce. Of course, many people did trade it in B minus bounce in community. You see, goes here and it makes a little cup and handle, pushes, makes a handle, higher lows, and then it pushes. It was a decent B minus trade as well if somebody wanted to do it, right? That just like I teach every day. But I'm proud of the fact that we managed Boeing really well. So very happy about that. And so let me know how you traded Boeing in the comments. All right, guys, now let's look at my favorite play, which only thing I'm really bummed is I did not swing it, although it's one of my favorite investment and swinging name. Did good on it yesterday. Today did not size big, but it was really good. Let's see. I personally, I was busy with other trades, so I did not really capitalize on this one. Although one option went from $1 to $7, which was just crazy. So SMCI was so good. But I did tell everybody when it breaks the pivot. Sometimes I have alert, and sometimes that a lot of traders were long. They know we trade SMCI every day. It's on our list every day. Let's look there. Here you go. So SMCI resistance pivots is 320, 321, right? So 320, 321. What do you do when it breaks 320, 321? If resistance breaks or EMA Cloud, it's a long idea. So basically I'm saying SMC isn't a long idea, especially with the volume, and it's staying over yesterday's highs. Yesterday highs low is one of the most important concept, guys. You better learn it, right? So that was SMCI. My target was 350. That's what I was talking on the voice. And all day, it breaks this flag. I talked about this flag. Let's see if I can show you. Here, let me see. So yeah, so you see this flag. That was the flag. It broke SMCI. You see everybody was, Tom Kumnal was long on SMCI. They were asking me the targets. Everybody was like, the whole room was like, trading SMCI. It was so much good. So proud of everybody, the way they traded it. The pivots were there. Semiconductor sector was strong. NVDA was strong. Everything was strong. So beautiful trade, guys. Really proud of this. You do not get such trades every day. It's your own. Remember, people are not just trading it because somebody's alerting it. That's fine. I'm guiding it. That's fine. But people are building conviction. That's what I do. That's what I'm doing for so many years, trying to build people's conviction on Twitter, on my free website, and that's what I do in my private community now. I'm really proud of all that. All right, guys, let's go to next one. Guys, next one I'm going to discuss is MRNA Short, right? So why was MRNA short? The reason was MRNA and BNTX are kind of same, they're partners in crime. They do the same COVID things and all that. So they always move together. The news was actually on BNTX. Their forecast was disappointing, right? Of course, BNTX was also a bearish bias for me to short, but it trades very illiquid. That's why I said MRNA, MRNA bearish. So what did we do? MRNA bearish versus 114.50 right at open. 1 minute after open, I said, right, if you shorted that when I said it, rest is in front of you. What does system say? There's a news, there's a catalyst, it's under EMA Clouds. It faded all the way at open from 113 to 108, guys. Just a beautiful short. Can't get, and I close it end of the day. These are my favorite setups. I just love trading them. Let's just look at BNTX. BNTX was the same thing that I talked about, that we will be short But as you know, MRNA was a better one, short the pops. BNTX was okay, but it was illiquid. It was bouncing, fading. As long as you had a good entry, it was fine. But if you had a bad entry, then you probably got chopped out, right? So that's why I said better fades on MRNA. I said that, right? And so MRNA was the one which I got better trades than this BNTX trade. So good recap on this as well, guys. You can see my guidance, how we are ready with the news, how we are on the top of the trades. We make sure that we execute them. So that's about it. Executing, finding the opportunities and executing. Either they work or they don't, but we stick to our system again and again and again. Under the clouds, beautiful short on MRNA. So let's look at you now, right? So you had a layoff news, right? Let's go back to our news things. You had a layoff news. But the funny thing was, usually the stocks rise on the layoffs, and it's usually a positive because the stocks rise. Maybe the environment has changed now, but it was already bearish. So when I saw the gap down, our system was saying that it's bearish. Whatever we think, that doesn't matter. The system was telling us it's bearish. So we have to follow the system. We can't be bullish, right? So we have to follow the system. So I gave the pivot. When the pivot breaks, there is no long. Support pivot, what do I tell? When a support, what was my guidance? What is my morning guidance? When a support breaks under EMA Cloud, it's a short idea. So you was a short idea. I reminded everyone 20 minutes after market open, that's a good short. I don't leave anybody hanging. If I see it's not a short, I let them know. I give a warning. But it was a good short. I kept saying it's going to fade more, still heavy, just to let everybody know that you can still hold the share, the guidance, right? And I said, no need to cover. Look at my confidence level. That was 1048. And I said, no need to cover, no need to cover. And even when I said that, we still got another 50 cents. Yeah, of course, my target was 35, but look how much did we fade. What was the, let's go back, 38.20. Since 38.20 broke, you got $2. The options went from few cents, they went 150%, guys. And the shares you made you risk, let's say you risk from here 38.40, this highs, you risk 40 cents and you made like $2. More than that, that's like 5 times your reward, guys. So that was a beautiful trade, guys. A lot of this is my voice guidance. I try to put a lot of things in there, but I'm on voice, so sometimes you don't hear that. But beautiful trade. Okay, let's talk about Tesla. All right, so Tesla, what was my pivot? Let's go back to the pivot. Support pivot is 238 on Tesla. So under 238 there is no long. Same teaching I teach you guys every day. There is no long under 238. It's a short, it's a bearish. And that's what I was crying on the voice. There's so much going on today, but I let people know on the voice that there is no long. And I said it can go to 235, and it did hit 235. And then I said if it breaks 235, it can go lower. And it did go lower. I said you can cover on the flush. Only short, no long. 235 puts went 150%. Still heavy. And then hit the 232 daily level. People keep asking me how do I find the level? It's a daily level, guys. If I draw a support zone here, you will find this level right here. 232 here, right here. You see that? So yeah, so I'm proud of that. And then it was a B minus C minus bounce. It's still bearish. 1 hour is back bearish. So that's the problem. And we'll see what happens on that later, guys. So 1 hour is back bearish. If it recovers tomorrow, then we'll see. But so far it's been selling every day, each day. Okay, I want you to look carefully on AMD trade, right? So at morning, so what was my pivot? First, let's go to our pivots first, right? So AMD, the pivots was 147.15, 146.15, 147.15. Where did it come from? Yesterday's highs, 146.15. And what was my, so in this case, we look at the support. 145 was the support. You see that? You see that, right? 145 was the support. So you see that it never gave up that support, held that support. And I was not saying long there. If you long here, yeah, that's like a B minus long. But when it turned bullish, that's when I said it's turned bullish. Right? That's when I said put the stops at 145, breakout at 147, keep starter small. If market bounces, you scale into it. And then after 147, it was all about, where you are adding here over EMA Clouds. Yes, your risk is like $1, $1.50 or the low of this candle, and look where we go. My target was 150. I gave the 150 target, we get 150. I've been giving the target and it was just 16 cents short, guys. It's right in front of you guys, right? You might be saying, hey Rip, you every day you're saying you're getting the winners. It's right in front of you. I just gave the stops, I gave the breakout, I gave the pre-market pivot, I gave the target. What else more I can do there? Just to show you that there's no hindsight. This is the clear teaching and clear guidance every day. Let's go to the next one. So let's look at next one now. Next one I want to quickly look at is Netflix. So Netflix, guys, right? So it was bearish. It was a bearish, and I was watching both of them to short, right? To watch the pops. So, but it reclaimed the bullish pivot. It reclaimed the bullish pivot, and that's when as per our rules, we do not short it. And people were asking me and I was on the voice, and I did say that, not really, because it's less volume. If market push, it's gonna push, and it reclaimed 512, and then it reclaimed bullish. Right? Then this happens, you do not short it, So you do not short it. So yes, so my idea of the bearish bias was a failure today, but I personally didn't lose or short it or lose money on this one because because as I said on my voice. But yes, let's call it a loser idea, because we were short biased, but the short setup never came, and it turned bullish. And of course, even if we were short biased, this bullish pivot was the long, right? So that's why you want to know when it filled the complete gap. You see, when market pushed, Netflix filled the gap. So so that's Netflix. I'm just want to quickly discuss few other news plays. Let's look quickly at UAL. So UAL was a bullish bias, and then we'll look at MICH and MCHP. Let's see what UAL did. So UAL did, I think folks were on trading floor trading UAL. Let's look at it. So UAL, not my personal trade, but I think RGV was trading UAL. RGV was on it. Let's see. Yeah. So he saw that, you can see his chart. EMA Clouds held. That's where you long, and that's where your what was my pivot on UAL? Let's see. Okay, not here. MCHP. We'll talk about MCHP as well. And UAL was bullish bias over EMA Clouds 42.60, and MCHP was bullish over 83 and 82. 42.60 never got there, but it held the EMA Clouds and bounced. So that was a decent trade if somebody took it. Too small an ATR for my taste. Let's look at MCHP. MCHP from the pre-market guidance, over 83 was long, and yes, it turned bullish. And I said long. I clearly said long over, short under, and it turned bullish. MCHP, nice, good winners there. So let's look at next one. So other one which was on a watch list, we did not do anything, was Mitch. And Mitch right away gave under the EMA Cloud. So usually when that happens, guys, this is a gap fill trade. So if we go to the Mitch in my notes, what I was saying was bullish bias as long as the clouds hold. Clouds never even held, didn't even give a chance. And once 41 breaks, it's a short, gap fill short. And that's what it exactly did, guys. 41 breaks, it's a gap fill trade. You guys know that, right? You know, most of you know that. So that's the teaching. Yeah, so you see the 41 pivot breaks, it's a short. So too many trades, we can't trade everything, but I still wanted to recap it. If I was trading it, I was guiding people, then I would have guided them to short it, because if we're breaking down here. So that was it, guys. Video went longer today. There was a lot to teach, and hopefully you learned a lot today. And if you want to come trade with me, come join our community. Come for learning. Do not come for alerts. Thanks. Bye bye. See you tomorrow.